Today, Tango on the Hudson has a special treat for you. Ilene Marder, who was one of the originators of Tango in the Hudson Valley, is here, and I've been anxious to have an interview with her for her to share how Tango came into the Hudson Valley, how she started it many years ago, though she's still a relatively young woman, and how successful she's been. And today, we're in the Hudson Valley Festival that is a result of Eileen's hard work putting this community together. Eileen, let me start with, how did you get into tango?
Okay, first of all, I don't know if I can take all the credit because there have been a whole lot of people committed and devoted and loving tango. So, I happened to be there at the beginning. I got into tango. My husband and I had separated and divorced. We have since gotten remarried. But during that time, I met a friend who was going to ballroom dances every Saturday night, and I wanted to come, but I didn't know any dances. I was a street dancer. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and I was a street dancer. So I said, okay, I'll take a class in something so I can go. And I said, no, not foxtrot. I have nothing against it, but it wasn't for me, the ballroom dances. So I remembered as a kid, with a girlfriend, we kept doing jump, 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 da 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 da. So I said, tango. I always liked the music of tango. Who knew? I Googled tango in Albany. I was only an hour from Albany, 2 hours from New York. I decided to go up to Albany because I had lived there, and I found Dario da Silva, who was a young Argentine living in Pittsfield, teaching in Albany. And I called him, and I booked a private with him. And on the way up the thruway...
What was that, booked a what?
A private lesson with him. So
why would you do that?
Well, first of all, at the time, I had a very good job and I was making some money, so I could afford to do it. Second, I had no idea what tango was about. I had not even seen much professional tango. I really didn't know too much about it. And I knew the way that I learned, I needed to start out at my own level, at my own pace.
As opposed to a group.
Right, and the only way I can do that was through a private. So I did that, and I went to the lesson, and on the way up to the thruway, I'm thinking, this is crazy, I'm going to turn around. What am I doing? This is berserk, But I went, and we started the lesson. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk. I couldn't, when you said to turn my shoulder, I had no idea what my shoulder was. I mean, it was, but by the end of the lesson, and I'm driving home, and I realize I have a smile from here to here. And I remember thinking, oh, this is what fun is. Yes, it was fun to me at that point, and I liked tango because you didn't have to be a ballerina, you didn't have to be a contemporary dancer, you didn't have to be 20 years old, you didn't have to be 120 pounds.
And young.
And young, that's what I meant by you didn't have to be 20 years old. And somehow I felt I could do it. And Dario was a great teacher, and so I continued private lessons with him. After 2 months, then he said, you should really come into a workshop situation now, because then you can dance with more people. Now, at the same time that I started this, that was in November of 2003, at the same time I was working for a small luxury hotel outside of Woodstock, and I was doing their communications and PR and such, and they had a restaurant with a dance floor, and they said, we need you to bring in some business. We need to use this dance floor. We want people to dance. And in my best Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland spirit, I said, let's have it milonga. By that time, when I started with Dario in November, I started going down to the city in December, and January, just to see that if what he was teaching me was what they were dancing in New York, which was the closest I had to real tango. And it was. So So we had a milonga. Dario and Jackie Wong, who was a teacher then in the Berkshires and in Albany, they both came and brought all of their supporters to them. Several local people came, many of which are still here at this festival today. Um, and we had a very successful event, and that we did that for about 5 months at the hotel. I was in a very good position because I had been going down to New York and I met a lot of people that I could invite up here. And people who came from Buenos Aires were already in New York, so to come up to Woodstock was not a big deal. And they all loved Woodstock. Everyone wanted to come to Woodstock. Oh, Jimi Hendrix. So I think the first person that I really had was Angel Clemente and Rosa, which Milonga Rosa was named after, big Milonga in New York. And the second person I had was Junior Sevilla, who is here at the festival this year.
Dancer.
He's one of the world's best. He's the Gene Kelly of Latin dance. He's astounding. And we had a hotel attached to the hotel. I mean, hotel attached
to the dance floor.
To the venue. And so he stayed over, and a lot of dancers stayed over, and he came up a couple times, and I realized that if we were going to have milongas, we needed to have a local constituency. We couldn't just depend on people to come down from Albany or from Pittsfield or up from New York City or from Connecticut. I needed a local base of tangueros, to do these things. And I had more and more teachers. The word got out that what we were doing was very good, and I had a lot of teachers contacting me to come up.
Isn't this a wonderful video? On part 2, Ilene Marder continues her explanation of tango. Make sure you see it. Some great dancing. Go to Tango on the Hudson to get articles and information on what's going on in the tango community in the Hudson Valley. The tango community. There's a feeling of community and inclusion in the Hudson Valley tango population. There's always room for new members to come onto the tango dance floor. So what are you waiting for? Call Tango Studio today, 475-6006, and we'll see you on the dance floor.